Hey guys, this is Ant bringing a Unreal Engine 4 tutorial. It's been a while since I've posted anything, so I'm just going through what's going on the YouTube channel and trying to answer any questions that I've had over the course of last year. The latest question I've had is about creating a battery system, which is linked to a day and night cycle. So in this video I'm going to go through a sort of very basic mock-up of a day and night cycle, and just to give an idea of how you can use an event dispatcher to update other objects in the game using the God mode class, which is the game mode that sits at the top of everything in terms of blueprints. So if you bear with me, I'll go into this blueprint with you. So on to creating the basic day-night system. So what I've done for this is I've used the first-person game mode to control when the game switches between day and night. So what I've done is I've used a enumeration for this. It's a very good way of sort of setting states pretty quickly without having to go into too much detail. So I've created a new enumerator with daytime and nighttime. Now, I've actually used the first person game mode. Obviously you can use whatever game mode you want, but I'm using first person just for pretty much simplicity. And what I've done is I've created basically a day and night cycle that switches every 10 seconds. It's controlled by timers, and it uses event dispatches to basically tell the rest of the system, well, it's at daytime, it's nighttime. Now, what I've done now, just cancel that, is I've basically set up event dispatches here at the bottom. Now what happens is, as the cycle begins, it will use a custom event which is set here and here, and it will basically set whatever the day cycle enum variable is, and it will switch based on that. So if daytime begins, it will fire the called daytime begins dispatcher. If nighttime begins, it will call the nighttime begins dispatcher. So that tells the rest of the system that something's happening, and if that particular actor is subscribed to it, that will react on it. So with the event dispatcher, the best way to sort of explain that, because I've not really been covered before, is it's like a radio broadcast station. Basically it can be any radio station you want, doesn't matter, but what it's important is the way that other actors or whatever's listening for it subscribes to it. So a person will be in their car, they'll tune into one station, and another person in a different car will tune into another station. But what's important is how the event is called. So the radio station will basically say, well, there's something happening here, or there's been an accident here on a motorway, whatever, and whatever subscribed to it can react to that based on the information. And pretty much an event dispatcher works the same way within an engine environment as well. It basically fires a message to the entire system to say this is happening, and then whatever actor or sort of item is listening for it can react to that. If nothing's subscribed to it, or if anything's not listening for it, that won't react. But it's a very good way of basically uncoupling actors together. The actual event dispatcher here in the game mode doesn't really care what's listening for it. It just says, well, this has happened, you react to it, and you don't have to use like a direct sort of cast or anything. It removes that need to do that. So I'm going to quickly go across the blueprint as well. So as soon as the event begin play right at the start of the game, it'll begin the daytime. So custom events begin daytime, it'll set the timer for 10 seconds. Also that's been promoted to a variable for a timer handle. It will fire another custom event which is set day conditions, which links back down to here. Basically that's got an input time, and that's the variable there. That's literally a case of, if I just sort it out, I've called my enumeration day cycle. So if I go to search for it, type in day cycle, and it appears on the list. But obviously I'm not going to add anything else to it because I've already done it. It'll set based on whatever you put in the drop down. So in the first case it was set to daytime. That variable is set to daytime, and it'll switch on the outcome Once that fires through on the switch, it's daytime. It will basically announce the entire system, daytime begins. And just for sort of clarity, I'll put a print string as well. Once that happens, the timer actually expires, it'll switch to night, it'll set the conditions to night time, it'll clear the handle, and it'll begin night time, which is literally this timer by event again. So another 10 seconds will pass, it'll switch to daytime, it'll clear the handle, and it'll begin daytime again, which links in right up here to here. So I'll just quickly scroll on the blueprint. So if you want to recreate this, you can. I might include this as a project link if you want me to, that way you can just download it. But for now, I'll just quickly go over it so you can have a look yourselves. There you go. So if I just stop it in different places here, and then you can pause the video, and then you can recreate it yourselves. I'd say this was the important thing as well. Just make sure. Nice and simple. So now we've got a very basic day-night system in place. It's not going to be advanced, it's not going to be visual or anything. I'm not going to link it to the SkySphere because there's no need for that. I just want to demonstrate how you can use event dispatches to make changes in other objects. So once that's been done, I'm going to demonstrate how you can use this to sort of create like a recharge system. So the question that was posed was an actor that recharges during the day because it's using solar panels, but once it gets to nighttime conditions, it drains the battery and switches back to daytime, and basically it just loops like that. So I'll move on to that, to creating that next. Okay, so now it's time to create the actor that's going to be affected by the day and night cycle. So the actor in question is going to be basically a battery charging station that recharges in the daytime because it's using like a solar generation, and then at night time it drains the battery. So to create this, all I'm going to do is create an actor, and I'm going to call it battery. I'm going to open that up. The only thing I'm going to add so it's visible is a billboard. So I'm just going to drag that into the world. And then I'm just going to code the variables for the battery itself. Okay, so based on what we need first is we need to basically subscribe to those event dispatches. So from there, I'm just going to get the game mode. I'm going to cast to the first person game mode. Yours might be different game modes, but so whatever one you're using, you must cast to that. Otherwise, it won't know it won't be able to recognise what event dispatches you've set up. So as part of that, I'm going to cast to it. I'm going to bind it. The first event is bind events to daytime begins, and the second is bind to nighttime begins. Create a custom event there, create a custom event there for nighttime. Hit compile. Now what should happen is on event begin play, you should subscribe to those event dispatches there, and that will allow it to react based on what the event dispatcher has fired from the game mode. There's one other thing I need to just advise as well. In event begin play, sometimes the event dispatchers don't pick up straight away based on the order of what's constructed. So the actors get constructed after the game mode's created, but for some reason there's a weird bug where if you don't put a little delay in at the event begin play, it doesn't pick up the first event dispatcher. So all I've done is gone back into the game mode and put a delay of 0.2, and that seems to have fixed it. So in terms of variables, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add basically a float, battery charge amount, total, and another one, battery drain. Not the best names, but that's all the variables that I need. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to basically set up two functions. So I use timer by events, but I'm going to set timer by functions instead. Now the first function will be called charge system, and the next function will be called drain battery. So for the charge system, pretty much this is what we get called in the main event graph. So the first one, during the daytime, I want the charge system to be working. What I want to do is I want to set that timer by function to 1 second, and I want it to loop. So basically every 1 second it's going to basically increase the amount of charge in the battery system. So battery charge total, the battery charge amount I'm going to set a default value of 1. I'm not going to publicly expose that. You can do if you want it for editing, but for now I'm just going to keep it private within the actual thing itself. I'm going to get the charge total, that's set by default by 0. I'm going to go for float plus float. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a clamp in. The main reason is it just stops it going below 0, and it's theoretically, if you're charging up, the battery should only be able to hold a small amount anyway. I'm going to clamp that, and I'm going to set basically the battery charge amounts here, and then I'm going to link that with a print string. Not duration. I just wanted basically to print out what the float amount is. So what should happen is, as the charge system's fired in the main graph, every 1 second it's going to add a charge of 1 on. If that's battery charge amount, I'm going to put that to 1.5. Okay, so I'm just going to make a bit more space. Promote's a variable. I'm going to call that charge timer. So as it switches to daytime, I want that to basically stop that. So charge timer, clear invalidate to stop that timer from working. Otherwise what you end up is, if it goes into daytime, if you don't stop the timer, you'll end up going into night time, and it's trying to subtract it and also add to the amount as well. And ideally you want to keep a hold of timers, because they can, if they run amok, it can cause problems. So I'm going to clear that, and then set timer by function name. I'm just going to call that drain battery. Just make sure I'm using correct case. Promote to variable, so I'm just getting a timer, and I'm going to call that drain timer. Probably not the best names, but it'll do. So drain battery is pretty much the polar opposite. So what I want to do is set the battery drain, so I'm going to set that as 1, so it charges more than it drains. It's quite an economical system that it's using. Hit compile. So the battery charge total, I want it to subtract the battery drain amount. Be careful by putting a minus in the battery drain, because that'll actually, 2 minuses equal a positive, and you don't want to mix that up. I'm going to clamp it again. Let's clamp the float, set the min max to 10, and then I'm going to set the battery charge total here. Drag out a print string, connect the dots, hit compile, and there you have it. So what should happen is the battery charge total should subtract whatever it had. Also, small mistake there, do apologise. So that should be battery charge total, battery charge total. And it's only subtracting the amount as well. So go back in the event graph, and I just need to make this a bit more legible. I can get my drain time in. I'm not going to clear and validate it. Although that hasn't started yet, it'll just basically fire through anyway. I think it has the basically inbuilt it is valid for timing. So if we just hit play, I'm just going to quickly demonstrate that. So what we should see is daytime begins. I know why. Got one of the test actors, I was doing it before. So if you have a look in the print string at the top left, you can see there that the amount is going, so basically decreasing during the night time. As soon as it hits the total day begins, it'll increase again. So pretty much that is using event dispatches from the game mode to tell the actor of how to behave. Now you can use a state machine in here, so based on that you can tell that if it's fires on that to switch the state and to everything, but this pretty much covers how to recharge an actor based on something firing from the main game modes. They're not directly coupled. The only thing that they do is they just cast as a caster when the event begins to play, just to get those two events. The other thing to watch out for is obviously that delay as well. If you don't put the delay in, it won't pick up the initial bind to daytime events. So I hope that answers the question that was asked on the forum. If not, then just reply and I can go into more detail, but hopefully that should clear some things up. If you have any other questions about event dispatches or anything like that, please get in touch and like and subscribe if you like what you see. Thank you for watching.